from Betting Weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stinging card. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me. As you can see, Rory Jiwani over the course of the next half hour, 40 minutes or so. We're going to be talking soccer and tennis for you. But Rory, as we welcome you back to the show, we've got to start by saying thank you very much for the Alpine Slalom Super G downhill tip that you gave us a couple of weeks ago. That was the last time that you're on. Hopefully everybody cashed. Incredible selection.
Yeah, Federica Brignoni in the Giant Slalom World Championships in Saalbach. Yes, that was it was good. I think she went off a bigger price.
Yes, she did. She drifted a little bit.
250. And because she was well ahead after the first run, 0.67. And then the second run, Alice Robinson put down an incredible run. And I thought, oh,
were you concerned?
Trouble. I was very concerned. I thought we'd done our dough. And then Brignoni went even faster. So she won gold very comfortably. So yeah, that was a nice result. It was a good job because the tennis tips weren't so hot on the last time I was on. I think I was I think it was one out of three.
Thursday's always a strange day because there's not a lot of soccer around. There's obviously a little bit of tennis, and I was going to sort of text you and say, look, is there any skiing going on you could have a look at? But I thought, look, one skiing selection. Let's keep I'm using the royal we here. Let's keep our 100% record going. Is it still going on the World Champs, or is it done and dusted? Presumably
it's done. It's done. They're back to the normal World Cup now. And funnily enough, last weekend, because Nigel was having fun with some of the names, Michaela Schifrin, she had her 100th World Cup win, first athlete to reach the big 100. So that was pretty spectacular on the weekend. But yeah, we're back to the World Cup and only a few weeks left in the season.
Obviously,
it's getting a bit warmer.
Yeah. Welcome in one and all. Diskies joining us. Villa Van says, good afternoon and all. If you're already, make sure you hit that like button. Correct. Paul Laguna says, got to bounce back today. This is true. It was a tough day at the office yesterday. Duncan says, afternoon, guys. Ming says, hey, Dan and Rory, lack of goals in the EPL last night was not good for me. A lot of people on the overs yesterday. Villa Van says, is it an AR background? It's Will White's house. I've gone round to Will's, who lives round the corner. If you've ever been on when Will's on, he doesn't use the background. He doesn't use his house anymore. He's moved. So I get Will's house when he's not there. What else have we got here? Joe says, yeah, got to bounce back tonight. Find value in the West Ham match. We're going to talk about that West Ham game shortly. Talk about the skiing here. I think she's won twice since that particular selection. Is that all right, Brignoni? She won again, Rory?
Yeah, I think she did in Cirstea. She won 2 races in Cirstea. Yeah.
Okay. Chris says, Carlisle fan, team is improving, but I think twice about backing them in the Cumbrian Classico against Barrow. Yeah, it's a big game. It's, Carlisle at the bottom of the league, aren't they, at the moment? Only way we win is if Barrow have signed Meslier from Leeds and put him in nets. I don't think that's going to happen. Villa fan says, what are you? I'm not hiding anything. James says, good afternoon and good luck to everyone. Adam says, afternoon, gents. Steve says, the piano is crying out to be played. Listen, by the end of the season, I'm going to, which way is it? I'm going to be I'm going to be learning that piano. Yeah, Beggars Ensign would be funny if Will was playing the piano in the background. Yes, that would be sensational. You never know. Will? No, he's out at the moment. I can't remember. Let us know in the comments who's you betting over the course of this season. We've got tennis and soccer to come. Notable Wednesday winners and losers. $25,000 play on the Knicks minus 2.5. Live play was a winner against the 76ers. 22,000 play on the Knicks minus 10 was not. $20,000 play on the Thunder minus 14 was a loser as well. So Bet Rivers were claiming 1 or 2 wins here. There was also a $19,000 play on Auburn, which was a winner, and an incredible game between Michigan State and Maryland. Don't know if you've seen this in the college basketball, but Michigan won on a half-court buzzer beater. It was even inside his own half. I just had a quick look at it before we came on air. Incredible. Maryland looked like they were going to win it, had an opportunity to do so, but Michigan did. And a $19,000 play on the money line at plus 150 was a Bet Rivers better. So well done to you if you were that basketball player. When it comes to the soccer last night, and I think this is a general consensus, just looking at one or two of the comments as well here, and certainly a lot of bettors did not win last night. $30,000 play on Liverpool against Newcastle, over 3 Asian total, which was a loser, obviously. $20,000 play on Real Sociedad against Real Madrid, over 1.5 total goals live. That was a loser. Early goals, somehow lost. Then we had one or two winners. Real Madrid on the money line at minus 103, $14,000 play. City at Spurs, over 3.25 Asian total, which is a loser. A lot of people went overs in that game. It was a short price. We were looking for Spurs on the Premier League show. That didn't come good. And a $5,000 play on Forest Arsenal, which was a draw. And the draw was backed at plus 245. So well done to that particular player. But I think whenever, Rory, and you'll know this, having worked for bookmakers over the years, whenever it's under rather than over, generally it is the bookmakers that win.
Absolutely. Yeah. And 0-0 in that Forest Arsenal game. I don't think many people would have predicted that. Not many goals. So, I mean, it's human nature, isn't it? We want to see goals. And I think with the Premier League last few years, we usually do get goals. So the odd night where there aren't many, it's going to be a night for the bookies.
I think there should be some goals in the games tonight. That's what I'm predicting. Minnen says Dan's new house is proof that the winners are really out there. Yes, they are. What else have we got? Can I play the piano? I can, but I'm not going to show you today. What else have we got? Salah to assist was the winner, from Jack. Jack had a good night last night. Beggars says, it is important to back the winners and not the losers. I don't know where you got that phrase from, but it's completely true. The live streams we've got via the Bet Rivers app. Barrow versus Carlisle in League 2. Gil Vicente against Sporting in the Portuguese Cup. Galatasaray against Konyaspor in the Turkish Cup. Heracles against AZ in the Dutch Cup. We're going to take a look at that game for you later. And also all of the tennis is live as well on the site. ATP Tour, Santiago and Acapulco, and we are in Merida, which is in America, isn't it, Rory?
Mexico.
It's Mexico.
Merida.
And Austin obviously is in the States. We're going to get Rory's thoughts on the WTA action. I'm going to give you some thoughts on the football, and I've also got the lines from Jack and from Nigel from the Premier League show if you didn't see it previously. So let's first of all take a look at how we bet for the West Ham Leicester game. Give us your thoughts on this one, gang, as well on the comments. What do you think here? What I can tell you is that West Ham, and I'm not quite sure how this has happened, but they have drifted over the course of the last 24 hours. When we talked about this game on the Premier League show, which we recorded on Monday, West Ham are about minus 165. I've got no idea why they're minus 137, but for me, they are a massive bet. Leicester are plus 370. They were plus 440. The draw is plus 275, as you can see. West Ham beat Arsenal at the Emirates at the weekend. They were 12-1 to win that game, plus 1,200. Because of that result, they are profitable on the money line this season if you've bet them in every single game. West Ham have been odds on twice this season, and they've won on both occasions. It's a small sample size, but they are reliable to a certain extent. They beat Ipswich 4-1 and Wolves 2-1. Obviously, both of those games were overs as well. The over 2.5 goal line here is minus 143. It's pretty short. West Ham played a back five against Arsenal. They will play slightly differently against Leicester. Obviously, there's a chance that Ferguson might make his full debut, or certainly start up front for West Ham tonight. Graham Potter gave him his full debut for Brighton when he was there, and they will play a little bit more attacking. Maybe Bolan move to the right-hand side. Kudus will play him behind. Pakatari's still out. Skull, as a youngster, played as left wing back. He might be the player to miss out. Wan-Bissaka's been brilliant as well, but it won't be a back five. It'll be a back four. They will play more positively. We've got Bowen there at plus 150 anytime, and Kudus, who I thought was terrific against Arsenal. He was absolutely fantastic. Ran the channel so well. Very, very hard working. Couldn't put anyone off that at plus 215 here. If you remember the reverse fixture between the two, it was Ruud van Nistelrooy's first game in charge. Leicester won 3-1. The expected goals figure from that game was Leicester 1.74 and West Ham 4.03. How on earth Leicester won that game, I will never know. But they did, but it was very much a false dawn from a Leicester point of view. They've lost 10 of their last 11 in the Premier League. They failed to score in their last 3 and in 7 of their last 8. I've seen West Ham to nil tipped in a few places today at plus 190. I would rather just play West Ham straight on the money line here at minus 137. Let's just check out some of the comments that we've got from our YouTubers today. Joe says, I think Leicester decimated by that 4-0 defeat at home last time out. I mean, that is very true. The real Brendan King says, West Ham on the Asian line, 0.75. Is it too easy? Well, that was Jack Wright's play, and Jack has been in really good form for us this week and at the weekend. Nigel was a bit more aggressive with the Asian line. He went -1. Check out the show for the reasoning of the two Premier League cappers. Everybody is with West Ham here. Ming says, has to be a West Ham win, doesn't it? What else we got here? Joe says, expect to dominate but fail miserably. Don't expect anything else than a West Ham win. Talking about Leicester there. Duncan says, over 3 Asian goals. I looked at that. The problem with that for me, Duncan, is that have Leicester got to contribute to that goal line? That's the issue. Are we expecting West Ham to cover that goal line on their own, which means that they've got to score 4 for it to be a full cash? Obviously, a 3-goal win, a 3-0 win would be a push. That's my only issue there. I'd rather go shorter odds and just play over 2.5 at minus 143. West Ham -1 says Paul. What else we got? Mate SK says take under 2.5. And Kusha says both teams to score. Yes. Had a quick look at both teams to score. Yes. It's just Leicester, Jamie Vardy, he's 38 years old. He's going to play up top on his own. I just don't see Leicester's attack at the minute. I mean, West Ham are going to play differently, as we mentioned. It is going to be a different game to the game against Arsenal. But I just think that West Ham to nil, I can see. I'm going to play West Ham to win. I'm going to play over 2.5 goals. Jack has gone minus 0.75 on the Asian line, which is minus 125 now, I think. That's his 1 unit play, incidentally. Nigel went -1. Have a look at those Asian lines. I think West Ham will surely win tonight. I actually thought that potentially Graham Potter was resting a few players, targeting this game for the win, but he has got injuries. Safar won't play and Paquetá won't play. In terms of where the money's gone for this game, 95% of the money, 92% of the tickets on West Ham. 75% of the money, 74% of the tickets on over 2.5 goals. We've had a $15,000 play on West Ham on the money line at minus 141. $15,000 play on over 2.5 goals at minus 139. These are my type of bets, not the stakes, but the bets. We've also had $7,500 play on Leicester at plus 0.75 on the Asian line at minus 111, and a $4,000 play Leicester under 11.5 total shots at minus 147. That's not the worst. And we've also got a house special on this one. If you think that West Ham will start quickly, at least 1 goal scored in the opening 15 minutes is plus 200. That's not the worst. That's West Ham. You've got Leicester as well. So at least 1 goal scored in the opening 15 minutes. It's got to be time before 15. So 14.59 is a 2-to-1 shot. Interesting way to play. I mean, I think that West Ham are really good value tonight. I don't know why they've drifted. If Will White was here, he would tell me that the syndicates have probably been backing Leicester. And although they were a little bit better against Arsenal when they were beaten 2-0 at home, Arsenal didn't score until the 81st minute there. They were very narrow. They were very defensive. I think West Ham will get over the line here. I don't think it's going to be a problem for Graham Potter's side. That's the soccer first up. We are going to talk Bologna, Milan, and also Heracles against AZ as well. So get your thoughts in the comments. I'll take a look while we hear from Rory on, first of all, Rory, the action in Austin. And you've picked out 3 games to take a look at here. You have got one official play that you're going to give us, and it's in that top match, which is Cirstea. You'll have to correct my pronunciation, against Schnaider here. What are you thinking with this first game to take a look at in Austin?
Well, my first thought was, why are West Ham on the drift? I
don't know.
Understand that at all.
No idea.
It seems absolutely bonkers. But yeah, Austin, Texas. first thing to note about the two tournaments going on this week, quite different conditions, much quicker conditions in Austin, very slow conditions in Merida in Mexico. First match, Sorana Cirstea against Diana Schnaider. I think the odds are wrong here. Schneider's not having the best start to the year. She had a breakout year last year. She actually split with her coach, Igor Andreev, who's now having good results with Ekaterina Alexandrova. She's now being coached by her father, Schneider, and doesn't really seem to be working out. In the first round here, she dropped the first set 6-love to world number 175, Tatiana Prozorova. She came through eventually 7-5 in the third. And Cirstea, I mean, she's very much a veteran now, but she's in decent form. She made the quarterfinals in Dubai. She got past Laura Siegemund in round 1. And she quite likes this time of year. 2 years ago, she made the quarterfinals at Indian Wells. That tournament, the 1000, is next week. And then she beat Arina Sabalenka to make the semis at the Miami Open. And I just think she's in the better form. And I really like her on the money line at plus 155. You could definitely see, you've seen from their matches already, that there's been some one-sided sets. So I'm a little bit against the sort of handicap bets and even the overs games. But Cirstea on the money line plus 155 looks good to me.
That's an official play, plus 155. What about McCartney Kessler against Christina Butcher? Any thoughts on this? Any leans on this? Or is it one to leave alone, do you think?
I think the odds are about right here. I mean, part of my reason for looking at these two matches, Kessler Buxer and Lamens Minnen, is that there actually are outright picks for the tournament. Nigel went for McCartney Kessler, who last week beat Amanda Anisimova, who won the week before in Doha. And Coco Gauff, she beat her as well last week. She should beat Buxer here, but I think the odds are about right.
And one thing that I've got to tell you about that last game here, which is the Lamens Minnen game, is that we've had a $6,000 play on Lamens on the money line at minus 109. Can you see why she's been backed at that sort of price? I mean, the price is held at the moment. Lamens on the money line, did that not tempt you? Can you see why we've had a $6,000 play?
I can a bit, although, I mean, I wouldn't have her down as the most reliable player. I mean, she is my pick outright for this tournament. She's in the weaker, perhaps slightly weaker bottom half of the draw. She's up against Belgium's Greet Minnen. And you know, the bookies have them as a pick-em encounter. I thought Lamens would be favourite. She's looked very good in qualifying in Dubai last week. Then she ran into Karolina Mukova. She beat Kamila Rakimova here in Austin. She actually dropped the first set 6-1, but came back to win. Minen's not been in the best of form. She needed 3 sets to get past China's Celia Wei. I mean, I've got Lamens down as a lean, but big bets on her I wouldn't really be for. I mean, look, Minen's got to serve a lot better than she did in her opener, and she is capable of doing that. There have been a lot of aces. It is playing reasonably quick. You know, if Minnen serves better than she did in her first match, this could be close, and that would put me off Lamens, backing Lamens in this one. I just think if Minnen ups her game, it could be close. I do like Lamens, though. I've seen enough of her. You know, she did win a 250 last year in Osaka in similar conditions. They might even have been slightly quicker than this. So Lamens would be my lean, but I wouldn't be risking too much on it.
But in terms of the best play, and it's about 2 p.m., I think that top one is going to get underway.
Yeah,
US
just
time,
over.
Rory.
Yeah, just under 3 hours. I think it gets underway.
So Cirstea on the money line plus 155.
Yes, that's the one for me in Austin.
We're going to talk Merida with Rory in just a second, just to pick up 1 or 2 of the other comments on the soccer that we've got tonight. Kusha says both teams to score. Ahmed says, does Van Nistelrooy get sacked if they lose, or sacked for tonight's game? I don't think they'll drop him just yet, but I mean, it's
That would be
borderline.
harsh, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be. It would be harsh, but I mean, he's had a shocking record, hasn't he? Really, really. Joe says Buonanotte have a shot on target, almost evens. If he starts, he's their best player aside from Vardy. Yeah, I quite like the midfielder. Is it El Canus, is it, who plays in behind? I think he's a decent player. Buonanotte might play on the right-hand side. I've seen him in one or two predicted lines up. Julian says West Ham centre-back to score at any time. Set piece, yeah. Leicester are terrible from set pieces. Duncan says West Ham should be able to cover the spread. Minnen says, yeah, Bowen rather than Ferguson. I think, what else have we got? Yeah, Ferguson starts. You got to back him. Yeah, potentially. And Adam says West Ham -1.5 at +185. That's hot dog territory, Adam. But he says he feels fairly generous. I think Leicester can capitulate here 3-1, 3-0 to West Ham. Let's talk Italian football, shall we? Bologna versus Milan. This is a game that was postponed because of bad weather back in the autumn. And it's an interesting one for many reasons. Bologna had a shocking start to the season, considering how they finished last term and qualified for the Champions League. But players left, as did their coach, and they found their form, I think, second half of the season. They're not the favourites here. Milan are +160, the tie +210. It's 8th versus 7th. The winner can jump to 6th. We're at the Stadio dell'Ara tonight. Both lost their games at the weekend. Bologna were beaten by Parma. Milan went down 2-1 away at Torino. They're both out the Champions League. Bologna are through to the Coppa Italia semi-finals. They play Empoli. They've got a great chance to win that, incidentally. Milan were knocked out of the Coppa. Milan also through to the semis. They take on Inter. But they were knocked out by Feyenoord, weren't they, in the Champions League? So both out of European competition. What worries me about Milan as favourites here is that they've lost 4 of the last 5 away from home. And against the top 8 teams, they've only won 1 of 8 fixtures, 3 draws, 4 defeats. Walker is still out. Their forward 4 is good on paper. Jimenez has certainly started his career in Serie A really well. Of course, he was a former final player. He's got a couple in Serie A already. He's also scored in the Champions League. Pulisic's probably having his best season in Italian football. Rafa Leao will play on the left. João Felix, I'm hearing, might not play, might not start. Signed from Chelsea, of course. Bologna have got a slightly better record against top 8, 1-1, drawn 3, lost just the 2. The key for me here is that Bologna, who were unbeaten in 10 prior to that weekend loss, have got a couple of important players back. First of all, Łukasz Skorupski, their first choice keeper, is back. He didn't play at the weekend. 13 clean sheets last season. One of the reasons that they made the Champions League. He's got 5 this. He will play tonight, according to all of the press. Likewise, Riccardo Orsolini, who's a terrific footballer. He's not listed there because he didn't play or he didn't start at the weekend. He came on as a sub. He was injured recently. I think he missed about a month of football. Got 10 goals last season. He's got 7 this. He's +140 to score or assist. He's got 3 assists this season. He plays on the right hand side. He's an effervescent wing. He's a brilliant player. Had a great season. So look out for Orsolini. Maybe to score, looks shots on target. I'm not 100% certain that Bet Rivers have got him down on their list at the moment, but I'm almost certain he's going to play. In terms of the major markets here, I mean, Bologna have won the last 4 in all competitions at home and 7 of the last 9. I am very tempted by Bologna +180. I'd rather have just a little bit of a safety net. I'll go Bologna tie no bet here at +106. You can go -1/4, giving it a little bit away on the draw at +138. Tempted a little bit by the overs because Milan games go over. 67% of their away games in Serie A this season have gone over. It's the highest percentage in Serie A, but Bologna aren't really an overs team at home. In terms of what you guys are saying here, Bologna draw no bet. Mate SK says, completely agree with that one. Reinders to score at any time, says Beggar's End. I think he's going to play, isn't he? Tonight. Malonga has been back on about the West Ham with -0.5 on the Asian line. Yeah, I can certainly see that. Adam's got a darts pick, which I'll come back to shortly. Rory might give us a line on that. Ming says, still some time to go. Can we see beyond Swantek for French Open, Rory? We'll get to the tennis in a second with Rory. What else have we got? Joe says, don't like Bologna, really. Villafan says, Bologna unbeaten the last 5 at home. Milan lost 4 of the last 5 away. Yeah, I think I like those stats. Joe says if Felix doesn't start, that's a huge boost for Milan as he's just walking around. Dave says Milan were playing good with Abraham at the top before they made all these new signings. Jimenez, great signing. Felix surely wasn't. Bologna to win, both teams to score, says Dave. Since we had these tennis questions, Rory, what were they? Swiatek, first of all, for the French Open. Is that a yay or a nay? Sounds like a nay.
Yeah, definite chinks in the armor this season. She's been working with a new coach since September, and she had her sort of 1 month drug ban. She just doesn't look the player she was last year, and I think partly other players have kind of worked out how to play against her. You see a lot of players now, what it seems to be is they're just hitting it hard down the middle to her and cramping her for room. So, I mean, she's so dangerous when she's got any width. She's a bit like a batter in cricket. You know, if she's got any width, she can whip the forehand cross court or she can just play it down the line. If the ball's hit hard straight at her, she's just a bit cramped and she can't generate the sort of the whip that she normally gets. So she's been struggling a bit. So there's an element of that. I think her link up with her coach, Wim Fissette, is still a bit of a work in progress. It does take it from what I've seen of him in the past. I mean, he's worked with the likes of Azarenka and Kerber. He's won slams with both of those and Kim Clijsters. It can take him a while to get what he wants. I mean, he can often almost feel like he breaks down a player's game to build it back up again better. And I think he might still be doing that with Swiatek. So she'll still be the favourite for the French. Yeah. She'll still be the favourite, but I think she's the most vulnerable she's been for some time.
Are you across the darts still? Do you have a look at the darts or not?
Now and again, I find the Premier League very difficult.
Adam said Aspinall to beat Dobie plus 150. He's won the last 4 head-to-heads. Bookmakers always underestimate Aspinall in this Premier League competition every single year. Is head-to-head a thing in the darts? I'm not across it.
Not sure it is, but I'd agree that Aspinall's always underrated. He's always underestimated. He quite often reaches the finals. I think he reached the final last week against Gerwyn Price, if I'm not mistaken. Price won it. Yeah, I find the Premier League, I mean, I love betting on the World Championships, but the Premier League, I don't know why. It just doesn't seem to, I tend to use a lot of stats and, you look at the checkout percentages and the maximums, and the Premier League just doesn't seem to fit in with it. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's the atmosphere or just the format, but I just can't see. I had a good go at it last year and got nowhere. So I am avoiding the Premier League, giving it a wide berth.
Adam's given the community a selection there, so we're going to play Adam's pick tonight. It's on you, Adam, tonight. Just to finish off with the Milan game, and we've had 1 or 2 picks in as well. Ahmed says Bologna draw no bet, and both teams to score looks potentially the bets there. Ming says thanks for the Swiatek chat as well. In terms of a special bet that Bet Rivers have got, Christian Pulisic to score or give an assist, and Milan to win is a 4-1 shot plus 400. That's a house special. He's had a brilliant season, probably his best season. I was going to say in European football, but he did well for Dortmund, didn't he, before he went for Chelsea. In terms of where the money has gone for this one, 62% of the money, 87% of the tickets on Milan, 53% of the money, 71% of the tickets on overs. We've had an $8,000 play on Bologna on the 3-way handicap, at minus 200 there. And plus Jimenez has been back to score as well, plus 195. He does look a talent. I've got to admit that. He's a little bit worried. If that forward line clicks for Milan, they could win. But Bologna's home win. I think Tino bet, you're on fairly safe ground. I won't put anyone off back in the draw, but it's not something I generally do. We've got one more football match to talk about, but not before we've talked about more tennis and the action in Merida. We are going to cover a Dutch Cup game for you, semi-final between Heracles and RZ. But Rory, back to your good self for the latest tennis thoughts. WTA Merida, you've picked out a couple of matches here that you want to talk about here, and you've got one play for us in the top match, Sramkova against Haddad Maia.
Yeah, these two met at Indian Wells last year, so almost 12 months ago. and Haddad Maia won 7-5, 6-2. They're in very different places at the moment. Haddad Maia is in dismal form. She's lost 6 out of 8 matches this season, including her last 3. She was thrashed 6-3, 6-love by Anastasia Potapova last time out in Dubai. Sramkova had a great end to 2024. She reached the final in Monastir in conditions very similar to these, very slow. She won Hua Hin, which doesn't play that quick either in Thailand. And then she reached the final in Zhejiang in China. She hasn't had the best start to this year, but she did beat Lulu Sun very comfortably in round 1. I mean, the conditions shouldn't be massively against Haddad Maia, but she's just playing so poorly at the moment. And I think she's a player to oppose until she turns things around. I think you can happily take her on each time until she finds some form. Sramkova is actually the favourite, which would be a surprise given the rankings, but that just shows you the form that Haddad Maia is in. I like Sramkova actually in straight sets. So the bet for me here would be Sramkova minus 1.5 sets on the set handicap. And that's plus 205. But as I say, I think you can oppose the Brazilian until she starts turning things around.
Looking for a straight sets win for Sramkova. Around about 4:30 Eastern, we're underway for that one in Merida. 59% of the money on Sramkova, 74% of the tickets on Haddad Maia. And on the spreads, again, it's a little bit of a split. 70% of the money on Sramkova. So it's almost just like the professional money is on Sramkova. But we've had more bets, more smaller bets on Haddad Maia, and most of the money on the under and over line has gone on the overs. 91% of the money, 95% of the tickets. We haven't got a play in the Navarro Martic game here. Most of the money.
We do. Oh,
we do. Do we?
We do.
Yes, we. I beg your pardon. Yes, we do. I'm just going to let viewers know that in terms of the money line, all of the cash is on Navarro. In terms of the spread, most of the money is on Martic. Most of the tickets, 89% on Navarro. And now I've just spotted Rory's play. I won't tell you where all the over and unders money's gone because we've got a play from Rory on this one. Is it overs? Is it unders? What do we like for Navarro Martic?
I like the overs in this game. And I've also got a couple of other potential bets. But Navarro, obviously a heavy favourite. I think she's just dropped out of the world's top 10. She's just not finding anything easy this season. You've got to go back 10 matches. That was in Adelaide right at the start of the season. For the last time she won a match in straight sets. That was 7-6, 6-4. So even that wasn't easy against Ekaterina Alexandrova. And in these conditions, these slow courts, nothing's easy. It's really hard to hit winners. You've just got to try and stay in the point. Hope your opponent makes an error. Martic came through qualifying and she brushed aside Sloane Stephens in round 1. She won comfortably, but the worry for Martic backers would be that she won just 25% of points on second serve. And that's actually a bit of a trend for this tournament. I watched a couple of games last night. And the second serves, because it's such a slow surface, the second serves are just sitting up and begging to be hit. But on the upside for Martic, this will be Navarro's first match here. And I think the conditions take some time to adjust to. I don't think she'll struggle as much as Martic on second serve, but I do think it will take her a time to get the pace of the court. My main play, the games line is actually 20.5, which is just a shade of minus odds. I really like over 21.5 games at plus 123. And that's my main play. I think Martic to win the first set at plus 205 is worth a look, just because, as I say, I think it's going to take Navarro to adjust to the pace of the court. And over 2.5 sets should be worth a go. Just as I say, given Navarro's inability to win matches comfortably of late, I think there's going to be plenty of breaks of serve. And there's plenty of opportunities in play, and it will go on forever. These matches are lasting a long time because, there aren't many winners to be hit. Rallies are long. So this could be a real opportunity in play to have some bets. But my main bet would be over 21.5 games at plus 123.
That's in Navarro Martic, over 21.5 games. And just remind us again of those other two bets that bettors might want a little bit of a nibble at in the same game?
Yeah, the other ones in that match, Martic to win the first set plus 205 and over 2.5 sets at plus 185.
Mate SK says Martic to win. She was looking good in the first round. And Minnen says pizza money or piano money is now the question for the staking sizes. Yeah, the grand piano cost. I can't remember which way is it. That cost me an absolute fortune. And also, I couldn't get it in the door, so I had to get it dismantled and then rebuilt, especially. And I'm telling you, it took forever. Just one other thing on the tennis I want to ask you. We've had an $8,000 play on Francesca Jones on the money line to beat Emiliana Arango. Not a game that you're going to look at. Can you see why? We've had a sizable and chunky bet on Jones on the money line. Bettors might want to tail one of the heavy hitters.
Yeah, both of them. I mean, Arango and Jones both like slow conditions. Their exploits normally are reserved for clay. Jones is the British player I think I talked about with you last time. She's actually, she's the one with 3 fingers on each hand. She's born with this condition. She's just outside the top 100, which is an incredible effort. She won first round pretty comfortably. Well, I say comfortably. She was well up on Maia Sheriff, and the Egyptian retired. Arango, as I say, she's definitely best on clay. Jones is quite a heavy favourite, and rightly so. I'd expect her to come through fairly comfortably. So I think that bet will be a winner. Not the sort of prices I like to play at, but I think that one looks pretty safe.
We're going to get Rory's best bet of the tennis shortly. Just one other soccer match that we're going to take a look at. We're a little bit thin on the ground when it comes to soccer tonight, but potentially we found a little bit of value when it comes to the Dutch Cup tonight, which is Heracles against AZ. And there's some really interesting angles in for this one. I think I saw 1 or 2 picks from our commenters. So without me trying to go back to get them, put them in the comments again, and I'll give them an airing. AZ both seems to score from Mate SK. That's correct. Now then, this is the interesting one because it's a semi-final, and we know the other finalist. The other finalists are Go Ahead Eagles, who unbelievably beat PSV last night. They were 10-1, maybe even bigger to beat PSV, and they won 2-1. So what an opportunity for either of Heracles or AZ. AZ are going to be the favourites, obviously. For this particular game, as you can see, Heracles are plus 310 and AZ are minus 122. Now, AZ are 4th. Heracles are 15th in the Dutch top flight in the Eredivisie. Heracles have only lost twice at home this season. Once to PSV, once to Ajax, early on in the season, at least the PSV game was. They're unbeaten in 9 on their own patch. They've won their last 2. They've never won the Dutch Cup. They were runners-up just over a decade ago. And they haven't played for the last couple of weeks because they had matches postponed because other teams were involved in European football. They've had 11 days rest coming into this game. AZ, incidentally, have played twice since then. And their schedule, as Dutch football fans will know, is pretty heavy because they're Heerenveen away this weekend, then a massive game in the Europa League against Spurs, and they play Spurs at home first next Thursday. So where do they rest players? When do they rest players? Is it the league game? Is it this cup game? They've gone strong in this competition early when they played Ajax in the 3rd round. So they do put out a decent team, but at some stage, they've got to maybe rest a few players. And when you think, well, maybe they'll rest them in the league, well, they're in 4th in the league. Top 3 qualify for the Champions League, or at least the top 2 do, and then the 3rd goes into a qualifier. So there's an awful lot to consider from an RZ point of view, and I'm really tempted on the Asian line for Heracles here. And I think it might be worth a little bit of a play if you want to get with them on the Asian line. Plus money with a half goal start, get the draw on your side. So it's draw double chance effectively. RZ are a very good team. That's the only problem we've got here. And I think the safer bet might be to play the goals line. I'm amazed that the overs is minus 122 here. The last 4 head-to-heads, 4 of the last 6 head-to-heads have gone over 2.5 goals. The last 2 at home have gone over 4.5. Both of these 2 sides are generally overs teams, and I'm amazed that it's minus 122. And you've got to remember the context of the game as well here. The fact that they both know they'll be favourites or should be favourites. Go Ahead Eagles are a top flight side, but you would have thought that Heracles will be favourites in a final. RZ will certainly be favourites in a final here. So it's one of those games that they will both go for the win. RZ won't want extra time because of their schedule coming up. They will go hell for leather. They are a side that can throw caution to the wind. A lot of excitement, a lot of chaos. They beat Galatasaray 6-3 on aggregate in the Europa League recently. The last 4 cup games have all gone over 3.5. Both teams to score, yes, is -141 short. Over 2.75 goals on the Asian line is +110. Over 3 on the Asian line is +150. I would ladder this up a little bit here as well. Steve's been on. He says, imagine being on the Eagles double for the Super Bowl and the Dutch Cup. Yes, this is very true. And Kushel says, Dan's filter is also showing 3 fingers sometimes. Yeah, I am related to the tennis player. No, I'm not really. In terms of players to score here, overs is the play. This is the strongest play of the midweek. I'm going to play overs tonight. I can't believe it is what it is. I'm going to play over 2.5, over 2.75, over 3. The players there to anytime goal scorer, Kalinovic has been tipped by Joe, or at least mentioned by Joe. He's +480 to score first, +205 anytime. Troy Parrott is the man. He's a former Spurs junior. He's got 12 in the league for RZ. He's on penalties. He's got 17 in all competitions. And as you can see, he's +106 to score there. Could not put you off him at all. Sven Minnens, I think he's injured, so he's not going to play. Press conference yesterday suggested that he's out. He scored in 4 in his last 6. That's a real shame. His replacement is a player called Zico Burmeister. We've not got a line for him there, but he's around about +600 to score at any time. That's potentially a value bet. Bettors can watch this one, incidentally, on betrivers.com and the BetRivers app as well. Most of the money has come on RZ. I can see that. 96% of the money and 98% of the tickets. And most of the money has come on overs as well. But I won't put anyone off a small play on Heracles with a half a goal start. So you've got the draw on your side there as well. But for me, overs is just a really interesting play. Value play at -122. I don't really understand why it's that sort of price, given what we've seen in the Cup, given what's at stake, given the schedule of RZ as well, given the recent head-to-head between the two. So that'd be my play for the Dutch Cup tonight. That's 2 p.m. Eastern, incidentally. So soccer and tennis done. Rory, we need your best bet from the ones that you've listed over the 2 tournaments. What would be your best play tonight in the tennis?
Ooh, I think I'd have to go for the overs games on Navarro Martic in Merida. Over 21.5 games at +123. I quite like all of them, to be honest, but I think that's the one. I think that would probably be the banker.
And that's the line that's just a little bit bigger, isn't it? It's not the minus
That's
money
right.
line, which you'll probably be faced with if you click onto the game. You've got to just slide it along a little bit to get that little bit more. And it's a plus money play. I'm going to say that -122 on that Dutch Cup game is my best bet. But West Ham, I don't understand the drift just on the money line. Ran about -137. Surely they will get the job done. Rory, enjoyed your company as per usual. Unfortunately, everyone, we've got no skiing bets from Rory, but you never know. Put it in the diary for this time next year when the World is the World Championships
every 2 years.
Every 2
years.
years.
Well, it's the Olympics next year. So
Oh, well, there you go. We'll be quids in when the Winter Olympics comes around. Rory, we'll get you back for that one. Many thanks to everyone who's contributed over the course of the last 40 minutes or so. We're back again, of course, tomorrow with more Betting Weekly live. And don't forget, we've got the European show coming out, covering all of the top leagues across Europe. No Premier League show this weekend because it's FA Cup action in England. But myself, Steve, and James have talked our way through all of the best bets for the weekend. That, I think, is coming out later today. If not, it'll be out tomorrow. Certainly the podcast version will be out tonight as well. But that is your lot from all of us. We will speak again tomorrow. Have a good betting day tonight. We will speak soon.